The independent forensic pathologist looked at the body. He examined every inch. He filed his official report. And when the family's attorney stood before the country on July 22nd and read the conclusion out loud, the room went silent. Cause of death, undetermined. Not drowning. Not accident. Not natural causes. Undetermined. That word is not nothing. That word is everything. Because it means that after 2 autopsies, dozens of witnesses, hundreds of photographs, GPS coordinates, and nearly 3 weeks of investigation, nobody can officially tell you how an 18-year-old wide receiver, physically fit, familiar with that island, surrounded by people, ended up face down in the water 2 days after everyone who was with him went home. Nobody. And the official autopsy, the one the state of Mississippi ordered and completed, is still sealed. You cannot read it. The family cannot read it. The public cannot read it. That is where this story begins. Not at the beach. Not on the boat. Right here. In the silence where answers are supposed to be. Welcome to Darkness of Beneath Crimes. If you believe silence is not the same thing as innocence, subscribe right now and hit that like button, because this channel goes deeper than the headline, deeper than the press conference, deeper than the official statement. We stay until the darkness gives up what it is hiding. And today, we are going all the way in. The night before the 4th of July, Nolan Xavier Wells made his family dinner. He cooked salmon. He sat with his parents, Elmore Wansley and Christine Wansley. He hugged his mother. He kissed her. And he walked out the door to spend the night with friends before the holiday. His mother described it in 3 words. Hug, kiss, left. That was the last normal moment this family ever had. Nolan was 18 years old. He was a wide receiver at Southwest Mississippi Community College. On National Signing Day in February of 2025, he stood in front of cameras and described getting to play college football as truly a blessing. He had a football camp to return to after the holiday weekend. He had a scholarship. He had a future mapped out in front of him. And that future ended on an island 10 miles from home, on a day when he was supposed to be celebrating. On the morning of July 4th, 2026, a boat departed at 9:56 a.m. That is not an estimate. That is a documented timestamp from data released by the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. At 11:14 a.m., that boat arrived at the western tip of Horn Island. Horn Island, a federally protected barrier island off the Mississippi Gulf Coast. No roads, no shelters, no medical facilities, no communications infrastructure. The only way onto that island is by water. The only way off that island is by water. According to the National Park Service, it is a wilderness area of pristine beaches and powerful shifting tides, beautiful on the surface and completely unforgiving underneath. On that particular 4th of July, hundreds of people were there celebrating. Boats lined the shoreline. People were in the water. Music was playing. It looked like the best day of summer. Nolan was on that boat. He was photographed that morning smiling and alive. He had no idea what the next several hours would cost him. And here is the question nobody has been able to answer since. Neither did anyone else. Or so they say. Now here is where you need to pay close attention. Because the story you have heard about what happened next has been told one way publicly. But when you place the documented facts directly against the witness statements one by one, they do not match. They do not match at all. Nolan was not the only person out there that day with his friend group. His wider group spread across 3 separate boats, all heading to the same island on the same morning. His best friend, Warren Hudson, traveled on a different boat than Nolan. Nolan's boat, the one referred to publicly as the Triton, carried a smaller group. Now here is detail number 1 that nobody has explained cleanly. At some point in the afternoon, the Triton developed a bilge pump failure. The boat began taking on water. One of the passengers, a teenager, placed an emergency call for towing assistance. In the audio of that call, later obtained through the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, the caller states the boat is taking on water. He says they are in 31 feet of water. He says there are approximately 7 people aboard. He says none of them are 21 years of age. The tow was requested. Then the tow was canceled. A nearby boater stepped in and helped pull the Triton to safety. And at approximately 4:31 p.m., documented by GPS data, the Triton left Horn Island. Nolan Wells was not on it. Now his friends say he chose to stay. They say they begged him to board the boat. They say he refused. They say he wanted to stay and talk to a girl. And that is where the first contradiction walks through the door, and it does not walk out. The girl's name that emerged publicly was Katie. And the way this name entered the story should make every single person watching this video sit up straight. Initially, the framing from within Nolan's friend group was clear. Katie was presented as a stranger, an unknown young woman, someone nobody in the group could identify with certainty. That was the impression. That was what was communicated publicly in the early days of this case. And then a documented fact arrived that shattered that framing completely. It emerged that at least one person in Nolan's group had been texting about this girl. Not after she was mentioned. Before. They knew who she was. The name Katie was not a mystery to everyone the way the group initially suggested it was. So let me ask you something. If you watched your friend stay behind on a remote island with no phone and no way home, to talk to a girl that you already knew, would your first statement to authorities be that you had no idea who she was? Would it? Because that statement was made. And then the text surfaced. And now nobody is calling Katie mysterious anymore. What they are calling her is a witness. And witnesses have to account for every minute of what they saw. Here is the detail that defines everything. The attorney representing several of Nolan's friends publicly stated his clients left the island at approximately 4:30 p.m., and that at that point, Nolan Wells was alive. That statement was made on record. But then, from the same legal representation, came a second statement that changed the entire weight of this case. He said there are 2 members of the Ocean Springs community, people he described as upstanding and credible witnesses, who reported seeing Nolan Wells on Horn Island at approximately 10 minutes to 6 p.m. 5:50 p.m. Read that number carefully. 5:50 p.m. That is 1 hour and 20 minutes after the Triton left without him. Nolan was still there. He was still alive. He was still on that island. And then, within the next window of approximately 60 minutes, he was gone. Not missing from the beach. Not seen entering the water. Not seen arguing with anyone. Not seen struggling. Gone. On a crowded island, surrounded by dozens of people, anchored boats, cameras, and cell phones, a 6-foot-tall, physically fit 18-year-old college athlete disappeared without a single confirmed witness account of how. Now you tell me what kind of accident leaves no trace in a crowd that large. The United Cajun Navy, a legitimate grassroots search and rescue organization that physically located Nolan's body during aerial search operations, assembled a comprehensive timeline report. They asked the public for any photographs, videos, or GPS data from Horn Island on July 4th. What came back was a treasure trove. Multiple boats in the cove area photographed from different angles and distances. The images showed boats anchored together, 3, 4, 5 boats tied side by side. People in the water. Some in water up to their waist. Some in water up to their armpits. Some, depending on their height, in water close enough to their necks that they were not wading. They were treading. The Cajun Navy used shadow analysis and geospatial positioning to assess the approximate timing of these images. Their conclusion: several of these photographs were taken in the late afternoon. which means there were dozens of people in visual range of Nolan's last known position during the exact window in which he disappeared. Every one of those people is a potential witness. Every boat in those photographs carries a registration number. Every registration number leads to a documented owner. Every owner can tell you who was aboard that boat on July 4, 2026. The witness pool is not thin. It is wide enough that someone in it saw something. And the fact that no clear account has publicly emerged from that pool, nearly a month after a young man's body was pulled from that water, is not an absence of evidence. It is a shape, and the shape of it tells you something. On the morning of July 6, 2026, at approximately 8:45 a.m., a United States Park Service ranger discovered a body in the water near the northwestern tip of Horn Island. Face down, dental records confirmed the identity. It was Nolan Xavier Wells. He had survived every practice, every game, every grind of the recruitment process that put him on a college roster. He had survived all of it. And he could not survive one afternoon on a barrier island he had visited before, surrounded by people who knew him. Or at least, that is the version of events the official framing asked you to accept. But here is where that framing falls apart entirely. The body was found on the northwestern tip of the island. Forensic experts retained by the family looked at that location against the known tidal patterns of that area. Attorney Ben Crump stated publicly that ocean engineering experts are now examining how Nolan's body came to be recovered in that specific location given the low and high tide patterns of July 4th and July 6th. His exact documented words were, "You've got low tides and high tides, so it's not adding up." Not adding up. Those are the words of a civil rights attorney who has reviewed the evidence. Not a rumor. Not a theory. A documented public statement made by the man who is legally representing this family. And then came the independent autopsy. The independent autopsy was funded by Colin Kaepernick. It was conducted by Dr. Roger A. Mitchell, a board-certified forensic pathologist and president of the National Medical Association. It was performed in Washington, D.C. on July 10th. And on July 22, 2026, standing before a packed room at the NAACP National Convention in Chicago, Attorney Ben Crump announced the findings. Cause and manner of death, undetermined pending investigation. Not drowning. Not accident. Undetermined. Now here is what that finding contained that the headline did not fully carry. The independent pathologist documented a significant injury to the back of Nolan's head. There were findings in the soft tissue at the posterior, the back of the skull. There were no external lacerations breaking the skin in that area. There were no underlying fractures confirmed. But the injury was documented that it was significant enough to be noted formally in the official report of a board-certified forensic pathologist. And the manner of death, the question of whether what happened to Nolan was an accident or something else, could not be determined. The decomposition of the body after 2 days in warm Gulf water limited the scope of what the examination could confirm. But it did not allow a conclusion of accidental drowning. It refused to. Now hold that finding in your hand. And then consider this. The Mississippi State Medical Examiner completed their official autopsy. And their findings, as of this recording, are sealed. Not pending. Not in process. Complete and sealed. The family of Nolan Wells cannot access the results of the government's official examination of their son's body. You cannot access it. Nobody outside of that office and the prosecutor's office can access it. And the reason it is sealed, according to reporting from multiple national outlets, is because prosecutors are preparing to present evidence to a grand jury. A grand jury. That is not a routine step in an accidental drowning. That is a step you take when there is a question of criminal responsibility. Now let us talk about the phone. Nolan's cell phone was left on the Triton when it departed. His friends say it was left behind. A device that a teenager in 2026 would not voluntarily separate from, left on a boat, while he stayed behind alone on a remote island with no way home. When Christine Wansley tracked the phone and had it retrieved, she discovered that messages had been deleted from the device. Deleted, not lost, not corrupted, deleted. And now, according to reporting from the Washington Informer, attorneys on both sides are in discussions regarding a joint forensic examination of cell phones connected to this case. An examination that is expected to potentially involve the FBI if it proceeds. The FBI. Think about how far that word sits from the phrase accidental drowning. Nolan Wells was the only black person in his friend group on that boat that day. Everyone else was white. That documented fact, reported by NBC News and confirmed by multiple outlets, has fueled a national conversation about whether this case is receiving the investigation it deserves. The Congressional Black Caucus formally wrote to the United States Attorney General and the Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation demanding an independent federal review of the case. The National Action Network offered a $50,000 reward for credible information. Colin Kaepernick funded the autopsy. Tyler Perry covered the funeral expenses. Reverend Al Sharpton attended the memorial. The combined reward for information leading to accountability in connection with Nolan's death reached $125,000. This is not a local story that stayed local. This is a national case, and it is moving. And this is the moment, right here, where Darkness of Beneath Crimes needs you to do something important. This video is going to reach people who have questions. Some of them have not heard all of these facts together in one place. Some of them are hearing the grand jury detail and the sealed autopsy for the first time right now. Share this video. Like it. Drop this into a comment section somewhere that needs to be talking about this case. Subscribe to Darkness of Beneath Crimes because we will be here every time this case moves, and it is going to move. This is not over. Now let's bring every documented thread together and feel the weight of what has been laid before you. A young man cooked dinner for his family the night before he died. He departed a dock at 9:56 a.m. on July 4, 2026. He arrived at Horn Island at 11:14 a.m. His boat, with a failed bilge pump and a distress call on record, left the island at 4:31 p.m. Without him, he was seen alive by credible witnesses at 5:50 p.m. By 7:30 p.m., a witness stated he was nowhere to be found on that island. That is a window of approximately 100 minutes. 100 minutes on an island full of people. 100 minutes with no confirmed, consistent, verified account of what happened. His phone was left behind. Messages on that phone were deleted. His body was found face down in the water at 8:45 a.m. on July 6. The independent autopsy found a significant injury to the back of his head. The independent autopsy declared cause of death undetermined. The official state autopsy is sealed while a grand jury is being prepared. The tidal pattern analysis does not explain how the body ended up where it was found. The FBI may become involved in a forensic examination of the phones. And the girl whose name connects the final moments of Nolan's life was not as unknown to the group as it was initially presented. Every one of those facts is documented. Every one of those facts is on record. And not one of them has received a satisfying official explanation. Christine Wansley, the mother who cooked with her son the night before he left, said publicly what this family needs. "We just want honesty and transparency." 8 words. That is all she asked for. And she is still waiting. Her son had a football camp to attend. He had a future. He had teammates who described him as a blessing to be around. He had a coach who called the team devastated by his loss. He had a mother who tracked his phone across water trying to find him. And somewhere on that island, In that 60-minute window between 5:50 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. on the 4th of July, the answer to everything is hiding. It is hiding in the sealed file. It is hiding in the deleted messages. It is hiding in the photographs that were taken but not yet fully examined. It is hiding in the accounts of the people who were on those boats. It is hiding in the tidal analysis that does not add up. It is hiding in the soft tissue at the back of his head that a forensic pathologist found significant enough to document. The darkness has not given it up yet. But darkness always ends. It always ends. And when it does, Nolan Xavier Wells deserves to have every answer standing in the light. If this story demands justice to you, if you believe that a sealed autopsy and a grand jury preparation and a forensic examination involving the FBI and a head injury labeled significant are not details that belong in an accidental drowning, then leave your thoughts in the comments right now. Tell me what you think happened in those 60 minutes. Tell me what detail hit you the hardest. Tell me what question you need answered most. Subscribe to Darkness of Beneath Crimes. Like this video. Share it with someone who needs to know this story. Because the more people who know every fact in this case, the harder it becomes for any answer to stay buried. We are watching. We are not going anywhere. And neither is this case.